So something happened in the past 24 hours that is very concerning. And this is that the US military is now under attack. I want to address what's going on here. I want to explain why this is a problem, but I want to answer one question. And that is, why is President Biden not more concerned with American lives? This is something that many people have asked, and I want to address this coming up. All I ask is one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So we have talked about this multiple times over the past few months, that President Biden does not seem extremely concerned with the livelihood of the American people. We are seeing attacks overseas. We are seeing attacks here on U.S. soil. We're seeing different threats and protests, and the list goes on and on. Obviously, we have an issue with the southern border. We got a crisis with Russia and Ukraine, with Israel and Hamas, and China is still a threat to Taiwan. But what is happening now? Well, just yesterday, this is what went down. The U.S. Navy and UK Royal Navy shot down 18 Houthi drones and 3 missiles. Now, this is very important to understand that what is happening right now, and this is coming from many people, many military officials are saying that the Houthis are actually escalating the attacks. These attacks are happening with more intensity and frequency. And that is exactly what we could not afford. But where is President Biden in all of this? What is he doing? Why do we not respond? Well, I want to go and read you a little bit from this. Okay, look at this right here. It says, the incident began around 9:15 p.m. local time when the Houthis launched Iranian-designed one-way attack drones, anti-ship cruise missiles, and an anti-ship ballistic missile. Okay, it says the Houthi missiles and drones were targeting an area where dozens of merchant vessels were transiting. Now, this is a problem. We cannot have this, but this is what the Pentagon has told us. Pentagon officials have been very clear that they have given President Biden multiple options of ways to retaliate, but he doesn't want to do it because he is worried about the optics. He's worried about the optics of potentially sparking a war in an election year. So instead of protecting the American people, protecting our troops, protecting our the supply chain, really not just for the United States, but for the entire world. Instead of doing all this stuff, we're sitting back waiting. We're just waiting for an attack to be so severe that the only option is we retaliate with airstrikes, multiple airstrikes. We take out missile systems. We take out different, not just command posts, but we're taking out military leaders. Right? That is what they're discussing. But again, as of right now, it's just discussions. But here's the reason why this is turning into another big issue. Because at this time, and you're probably wondering, well, what all of a sudden sparked the Houthis to increase their attacks on shipping vessels? Well, it's this. Is this right here. Because Speaker Mike Johnson has a handshake deal to avert a government shutdown. It's sparking conservative outrage here in the United States, but it's also sparking outrage over in the Middle East, where the Houthis are saying, you guys are continuing to support Israel in a time when Israel is, all they're really doing is attacking Hamas, but in the meantime, Hamas is standing behind hostages, hiding underneath civilians. It's turning into a problem. But one thing that you need to keep in mind, the longer this war between Israel and Hamas goes on, the more severe these attacks are going to be towards U.S. troops, towards shipping vessels, and to U.S. military bases over in the Middle East. Now, the issue, though, is right now President Biden is concerned because of the optics. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody sees it. But, according to reports, he is concerned that if he goes and retaliates against the Houthis, okay, the United States attacks the Houthis, the problem is it will look like the United States ramped up and escalated these attacks beyond what the Houthis were doing. Because as of right now, the Houthis are sending missiles and drones, but it's very rare that they're actually hitting their targets. And so the concern is if President Biden steps up and actually attacks the Houthis, though the problem is he's doing that in the election year. And that's something that they say can't happen. We cannot have another war on our hands as the election comes closer. If it does happen, yes, he may be protecting the American people, protecting shipping lanes, but the concern is he would then lose the upcoming election. Now, I want to break one thing down for you. Right now, in all the stories that we're hearing, why is President Biden not doing more to protect the American people from the southern border, from the crisis that's going on there, the immigration crisis? Well, all the reports say he has a difficult time doing it because he's going to have to go and side with the Republican Party. If he does that and he pretty much locks down the southern border, the problem is Democrats are going to be frustrated. Why would Democrats want him in office for another 4 years if he's going to side with Republicans on such a big priority? They won't want it. The same thing goes on for why are we continuing to support Ukraine? Because if Russia takes over part of Ukraine or the entire country, well, President Biden looks like he didn't do a thing. So he wants to send more money to Ukraine because, again, it's the optics. Why are we sending money to Taiwan? It's to protect Taiwan from China because China wants to reunify Taiwan with mainland China. And they want to do that pretty soon, within the next handful of years. But if that happens under President Biden's watch, guess what? The American people aren't happy. They would not be happy with this. And if we end up going to war with China, there's no way the American people vote for another Democrat in office. So again, it's the optics behind this whole thing. And I bring this up, I brought this up over the past 2 elections, is we are going to continue to see these games. We're going to continue to see, one person say something, but do they actually mean it? Do they want to see any change? Maybe, maybe not. But that's what's happening here. This is why the U.S. military is under fire. They're under fire because they cannot do anything. And I talked with, not a high-ranking member of the U.S. military. Okay, I didn't talk to some high-ranking military officer, but I talked to a handful of people, and every single one of them said that that's the concern, is that if you get sent over there, the problem is your hands are pretty much tied. You're almost waiting to be attacked first, and then you can respond, but the response is not going to be at the same level and intensity as the first attack. So that's where we're at this time. It's all about the optics because of the election that's coming up. So just wanted to fill you in on what's going on at this time. That is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.